everybody, welcome back to Sunshine Soap and Candle Company. A few weeks back, my friend Natalie King had asked me if I would like to share with you guys how to wick and label these beautiful little Nova glass containers. I just love Dream Vessels. They have beautiful glassware for candles. I'll go ahead and link their website in the description box below so you can go and check out all the beautiful glassware that they have. And I haven't done a candle video in a little while, so I thought, why not? I'll share with you how to make a candle in these jars, specifically concentrating on wick size and also how to label and package these. All right, let's get started. Okay, so when you're determining what wick to use in your container, there are a couple things you need to take into consideration. Now, every candle is going to burn differently a little bit depending on what type of fragrance oil you use and what type of colors and stuff you decide to add to it. But there's a general rule of thumb that you want to follow when you're deciding what type of wick to use. Now, I have never used these containers before, so this is going to be a bit of an experiment for me too. But this is how I would go about learning how to wick this type of jar. So the first thing you're going to do is take a look at the opening of your container. You want to measure the widest opening. So if it gets a little bit thinner on the bottom, skinnier like these containers do, I don't know if you can see, they're a bit wider at the top than they are at the bottom. You want to take the measurement of the widest part. And in this case, I've measured them already just to make sure. They're about 2 3/4 inch across the widest part. And then you want to take a look at what type of wax you're using. So I am using Joy Wax from Nature's Garden, and it's a paraffin and soy blend. If you've seen my other candle videos, you know how much I love this wax. So we're going to go ahead and use Joy Wax for these containers. And Joy Wax, because it's a soy and paraffin blend, you want to use a wick that burns a little bit hotter because it does have soy wax in it. So soy wax is a little bit thicker and more viscous. So it does require a wick that burns a little bit hotter. So in this case, we're going to be using some hemp wicks. Now, deciding on what type of hemp wick to buy, hemp we're using because we know it burns a little bit hotter than some other wicks that are out on the market. So we want to go ahead and use it with this type of wax. Now we need to decide what size hemp wick we want to use with this container. Well, that's where the diameter comes into play. So we are using hemp wick 1400, and I always write the size. I always write the inches down here, the diameter inches, because otherwise I forget and I have to go look it up. This is made for a container that's 2.5 to 3 inches in diameter. So this one is 2 3/4 about. So we're going to give this hemp wick a try in these containers. Now, lots of you have seen me use the CD wicks in the Joy Wax, and I do really like those wicks. But today I want to give these hemp wicks a try in the Joy Wax and see how I like them. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and wick my containers. So I'm just going to get some hot glue. Now this hot glue and this hot glue gun is specifically made for high temperatures, which you're going to need if you're adhering anything down to glass. You just don't want these wicks floating back up. So you want to get the high temperature heat gun and the high temperature hot glue to make sure that they stick nice and secure to the glass. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm using a little pencil with an eraser to just push down. And there it is. So you just want to make sure you get it as centered as possible. Okay, the next thing I like to do is secure my wicks with these little wick bars. So all I'm going to do is slide that in there and center my wick and just move it off to the side. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and cut up this wax. This wax does come in a slab, so you do have to chop it into smaller chunks. The next thing we're going to do is go ahead and melt down this wax. Now, you can use a double boiler. That's actually probably the safer way to do it because your wax isn't going to get too hot. You can control it a little bit better when it's in a double boiler. Although we're only using a small amount of wax here and I'm going to be babysitting it every step of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and do it over very low direct heat. All right, you guys, this is all melted down and I'm just waiting for it to reach the desired temperature to go ahead and pour in the fragrance oil. So if you want a complete tutorial on how to use joy wax, go ahead and check out my candle making tutorial right here on my channel. I go over step by step exactly how to use the joy wax. I also wanted to let you guys know that I'm going to be doing live classes through my Patreon page, and my first candle making class that I'm going to be doing all sorts of classes, but my first class that I'm going to be doing with you guys is a candle making class, a soy wax candle making class, and it's going to be held live on my Patreon channel on February 16th at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I hope you all can join me. Go ahead and go over to my Patreon page and take a look at the tier for the candle making class, and I'm really hoping you can join me. If it's something that you think you want to do, you're going to want to take a look at the supplies list that I put down at the bottom of the tier. You're going to want to order your supplies and make sure you get everything you need well in advance, before February 16th. So I'm super excited to be adding live classes to my Patreon page, and it's something I've been wanting to do for a while now, so I'm very excited. Hopefully you all can join me. All right, so this is what it looks like, and I'm gonna go ahead and get my fragrance oil prepared. Okay, so my fragrance oil today, this is also a fragrance oil that I have not used in candle making, so I'm really excited to be trying it out. This is an experiment. We're gonna be using the Lemon Curd by Rustic Essentials. I absolutely love this fragrance. You've seen me use it in other applications. So for this, we're gonna be using 3 ounces per the 2 pounds. That's at a 10% fragrance load. This is such a good smelling fragrance oil. It gets good reviews for soy wax, so I'm anxious to see what it's going to be like in the joy wax. All right. It's like lemony. It's got the perfect combination between tart and sweet. All right. Okay, now I'm not going to be adding any color to this. I'm just leaving my wax white. And mainly that's because my jars already have a color. So I'm pouring in my fragrance oil. I'm going to give it a good stir for about a minute. Okay, so these are now ready to pour into our containers. It smells gorgeous. I hope that the scent carries through into the finished candle. So we're gonna go ahead and just make sure our wicks are center and slowly pour into the containers. I'm leaving about 1/4 of an inch at the top. Now there's a little bit left over here, so you can pour these into tart molds or any type of silicone mold if you want to pop them out and put them in a tart warmer. Or you can just save it for your next batch of lemon curd candles. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring you in a little bit closer so you can see how these set up, and then we'll be back to go ahead and show you how they burn. All right, these candles have set up and I went ahead and labeled them already. I used a label that I had in stock from onlinelabels.com, and I'll go ahead and link in the description box exactly which label I did use from them. And if you buy labels from onlinelabels.com, you have access to their design software, which is what I use to design the labels here. So on mine, I usually just put what type of candle it is, I put what the candle is made out of, and I put how many ounces it is in my website. So let's go ahead and see how these burn with those hemp wicks.